Sometimes you forget to turn off the stream, and it creates a problem. Give me just a second here. Give me just a second. We're back. Yep, sorry about that. Just a second here. Always love when there's technical problems. I really don't, but things happen. Yep, something like that. Okay, it looks like we may be back. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happened. Okay, we do this. Give me 1 second. I'll be right with you. It's going out. There we go. Post. It's back. There we go. It's out. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I blame the other Jeff. Exactly. That's for sure. I did. So anyway, the models are all they're all lined up and really tightly packed here, right? It's kind of St. Petersburg. We'll see what the 18Z run did. It's not in yet. It'll be in very shortly. The other thing we can look at is you take the hurricane and we do Hurricane Milton. Of course, I just showed you the satellite. Let's look at the trends here on spaghetti plots. So the spaghetti plots at noon, I'm seeing this for the first time as you are. They shifted south. Because remember today when it weakened from a 5 to a 4 overnight, it jogged southeast probably 50 or 100 miles. So the model sees that because the NOAA says, hey, I'm here now, right? This is my center. It reruns it and says, well, I'm going to make landfall here. So it's going south of Tampa now, right? So that's kind of the guidance right now. Is it looks like it's going to go south. So let's look at, I'm going to look at something else here. So it looks like it's going to be going south of Tampa, probably just near Sarasota or just south of Sarasota. So earlier today, we were talking behind the scenes and looking like this thing may be, split the Tampa Bay. So this is the 18Z run initial. Again, it's initializing. It was, basically a Cat 4, Cat 5. It says, what are you going to do with me now, right? So next 12 hours, 24 hours, some of the models keep it Cat 5. Some of them have it 5. At 24 hours tomorrow evening, they're going from a 5 back to a high 4. And then at 36 hours, that's going to be at, midnight tomorrow night. They're all in the almost every model is in the 4s. This is at 24 hours, and then this at 36 hours. So you can see all the models in this time frame, they're saying a few try to keep it Cat 5. They're kind of might be outliers. They might be right. A couple of them have a Cat 5 almost to 24 hours, like 7 p.m. tomorrow. That'll be 1 o'clock tomorrow. And then they start weakening as the shear and starts encountering shear as it approaches the coast, but they're still a mid Cat 4. So we may be dealing with a 4 versus a 3 at landfall, right? So that's the only reason I'm showing you this. Nothing's absolute about this, right? So that's kind of the new things I'm seeing. So it looks like it's going to trend south. Let me look here. I'm looking at another piece of data. And I'm just going to do this behind the scenes and just kind of get an exact track. So anyway, the earlier discussions out of Tampa Bay were pretty dire, to be quite frank with you, which are, it's one of those things where, it depends on where it makes landfall and exactly, and all those kind of things. It's one of those things that it's a deal where, just 5 or 10 miles on the track is going to make enormous difference on damage, right? As far as the Tampa Metro Bay area, right? But it looks like now that the models have shifted south again, the threat for Tampa may be going down. It is going down. But Tampa, you're not totally out of the woods. You may be out of the woods on the storm surge. You're going to have a negative storm surge, but you may not be out of the woods as far as damage goes on the winds. And I'll explain that here in just a second. Apologize, guys, having all kinds of internet issues going on. The internet's been a massive problem all day. I'm up here at St. Petersburg right now. So anyway, the models, this models today, the morning ones, they're all saying, hey, I'm going to make landfall right here, and I'm going to go make the eye go over Tampa. That was this morning. So, well, this afternoon's came in, and now they're jogging south, and we'll see where they come in now. It looks like a lot of the models now have shifted about 20, 25 miles south, and most of them are coming in Sarasota, Venice, Englewood. This is the track now, right? So depending on where it ends up going, and again, guys, this is going to be hour by hour, and as one forecaster, hurricane forecaster, made a comment yesterday, and they said, "Where's it going to exactly make landfall on Wednesday?" And his exact answer was, "We may not know exact landfall until about 2 hours before landfall." And it makes a lot of reason because as these hurricanes come in, a lot of times they can jog north like 10 miles. They don't like to move on land. I'll tell you that. Hurricanes do not like to move on land, and they'll compress and do all kinds of weird things. And the fact it's going under shear, the westerly flow is increasing. It's going to want to try to push it straight east. So it may get up. Or some of the models overnight and this morning they implied, and I've been watching them, and they're kind of more and more trying to imply this as it comes up from the southwest tomorrow evening. It gets like in this general area right here, and the brakes come on, and it goes, "Oh, I'm going to try to come over here," and all of a sudden it just kind of does this, right? Like 10 to 1 in the morning. It kind of makes this like, I'm going to turn in here, or I'm going to come in and turn in here. Well, if that happens, depending on where it makes that turn, you're still going to have that north eye wall. You're still going to have 120 gusts to 155 right here on the coastline. So it depends on how far south it goes, south of Sarasota, or is it 5 miles or is it 20 miles? I can't tell you right now. Nobody knows, right? So depends on how far south it goes. Sarasota, it could and still be very close to the max storm surge. Sarasota down to Englewood, this definitely area is going to have a bad storm surge. Cape Coral, Fort Myers Beach, your storm surge here is definitely still going to be really bad. The Sanibel Island, Captiva Island, this Englewood, Venice, Port Charlotte, you're still going to have major storm surge. Matter of fact, I'd say your storm surge threat down here is increasing because the model are trying to bring it farther south. So you may end up being in a 15, 20-foot storm surge down here once the model says, hey, if I come in as a Cat 4 tomorrow night, as some of the models are suggesting, instead of a Cat 3, and I'm south, you may see the numbers bump up here 15 to 20, right to the right of the eye. I can't tell you where that's going to be. It's Key, Venice, Englewood. I can't tell you where it's going to be. But the threat looks like it's down. It's not gone, because it could very easily jump back to the north, because a lot of times when the hurricanes go back to Cat 5, what happens is a lot of times they like to go polar. They'd like to move more northerly. Now, today it jogged east-southeast because it was weakened to 4. And so, but if it goes, it's back to 5 now, and it depends on how long it stays at 5. A lot of times it will try to pull back to the north, right? So even though the models are saying, hey, I'm gonna try to make you right now, if it gets back on course and back to the north tonight, then when they reinitialize the model from the Hurricane Hunter at midnight or overnight, and it says, oh, here's my new position, and I'm 910 millibars, and this is where my lat long is, the models they rerun again. It's like, oh, I'm not gonna go down here, I'm gonna be back up here. So you're not out of the woods in Tampa, you know. And as one hurricane forecaster, said this afternoon, and I agree with it 100%, based on this morning's data, 7 a.m. data, the line, and I'm going to try to do this with my room key. Yeah, do it with my room key here. The line of where the track was, there's not a really easy way to do this. Most of the models was like this, something like, they were kind of like, I'll take this back, it looked more like this. The line on most of the models this morning were like this. See that fine line right there? It's that razor, that real thin line. The models were bringing it in like that. So if you're to the upper part of the coast, Clearwater, you'd be offshore flow and probably not much of a storm surge at all. You'd actually have a negative storm surge. But everything from St. Petersburg to the southeast of downtown Tampa, this whole area right here, you would have had a massive storm surge, probably upwards of 15 or 20 feet back in this back bay back here, right? That's changed because now that zero line, where that immediate crossover line, it came south earlier. They dropped it down here, and early this afternoon. The 11 o'clock advisory is down here, where the track was going to be. So like part of the bay would be in the storm surge, and part of this upper bay would not. But you would be in the north eye wall as it came up with the winds of 120 to gusts of 155. Well, I'm sorry, with all the skyscrapers and across Tampa and St. Petersburg and all that, you're going to still have massive wind damage, right? Broken windows, roofs off buildings, collapsed telephone poles, trees, power lines, all that, right? So now what's happened, and again, this is very fluid. It's going to keep changing. Right now, the line's down here near Sarasota, just south of Sarasota, something like this is the new track, right? So instead of you're going to have strong offshore flow now. If it goes that far south of Tampa Bay, you'll have a northeast wind, northeast wind. So the bay will actually go negative. You'll have negative storm surge in Tampa Bay. You'll have boats that are in the mud flats. You're going to drain the water out of the bay. And again, this is not done. It's not a done deal yet. We're not going to know this until I bet we don't know where it's going to make landfall until, for sure, until probably 10 o'clock tomorrow night. maybe as early as 7. Well, look, watch the radar and see if it's left or right of the track. But it's a fine line where this super disaster on the right, but you're still going to have widespread catastrophic storm surge from the location of the landfall to the right. Is you're still going to have this, the whole West Coast here is going to still have massive storm surge damage, right? No matter if it's a 3, 4, or 5 at landfall, right? So that's not going to make any difference. So the right now, I felt pretty good early today. I was like, wow, I'm gonna be able to do a 5 o'clock update. I was waiting for the 5 o'clock advisory to come out and was like, man, all the models are really agreeing at St. Petersburg, and they're all look really rock solid on it. And it's like, it looks like it's gonna make landfall at St. Petersburg. That's why I was gonna come and tell you at 5 o'clock. And it was going to be a catastrophic event for Tampa. Well, guess what? The model says, nope, I'm going to take the hurricane. I'm going to drop it east-southeast today. Didn't expect that. And now it's back to Cat 5. Does it come back north? I don't know, but the models now say it's going to make landfall somewhere near or south of Sarasota. Well, that's going to put Tampa now probably not the storm surge that we're expecting. They're going to be negative. And the catastrophic storm surge is probably Sarasota south. We're down here in Venice, Englewood, Port Charlotte. Your storm surge down here is going up a lot, right? It's already going to be bad, but now it's going to be really bad, right? So where the eye crosses or near the eye crosses, either side of Sarasota. So Sarasota at this point, you're going to have catastrophic storm surge, and you're going to have catastrophic wind damage. Okay, a lot of buildings are going to fail. A lot of roofs are going to come off buildings. I was in Sarasota today twice. You're going to have a lot of broken windows, infrastructure. The marina down here, see this marina, Lido Key, and all the marinas in here. You're going to have probably a lot of boats are going to sink, and the marinas, it's going to be super catastrophic down here. It's kind of where that eye crosses, and south of it is where you're going to expect the worst of the worst, right? But you're still going to have large, heavy rain, flash flooding where the north of the eye track, because it's going to be kind of left side loaded on the rain side of it. And then you're going to have the catastrophic storm surge along the coastline. And then you're going to have, pressure now at 902. So I'm getting all kinds of bulletins coming at me. So we'll go to the Hurricane Hunter in just a minute. So it's down to 902. It's about to go sub 900 again. So it's going back to a high Cat 5, right? It's going back to a mega Cat 5. Let me explain something to you, too. As I said earlier today, no matter if it comes in as a 3, a 2, a 4, a 5 at landfall, it doesn't matter. The Cat 5 has been there, it went back to Cat 4. It's like throwing a big boulder in the ocean or your pond or your bathtub. You throw a big rock in there, and those waves radiate. With time, they radiate out, and they keep radiating, right? The Cat 5 and the mega waves, I think they're over 50 foot this afternoon out here, right? They're coming. It's been set in motion. It's not going to stop. Even if you drop to Cat 2 overnight, you're still going to have catastrophic storm surge on the coast. That is a given. It's kind of like, I hate to use the word tsunami because it's not a tsunami, but it's kind of like, it's almost like the sun, when you get a burst of, rays from the sun, there's a big burst, and you get a big aurora like we had last night over the U.S., you get these big bursts, right? And once that releases from the sun, you say, oh, it's time. It's going to hit Earth in 2.5 days, 72 hours, here it comes. This is kind of what this is down here. It's a Cat 5. The waves have already generated that energy, that big, huge swells. They're coming. You're not going to stop them, right? So we're definitely going to have a catastrophic storm surge along the coast. But the worst area is where the surface low is, and immediately to the right of that. That's where the really bad stuff's going to be. Okay, so let's see what the Hurricane Hunter. I'm going to change gears here. Let's go back to the Hurricane Hunter. Current deal. Let's go back up here. We're on Tropical Tidbit site. This is real time. There it goes. And you see this guy's in the mission now. Let's see what we've got here. We got this one. You see, it looks like he's in there now. He's not near the eye. This other guy we got 2 of them in there now. Maybe we got 3 of them in there. Mission and Storm now. Okay, he just went through the eye. Okay, this guy's the guy that just went in there. Let me see what he got down to. Boom, boom, boom. That was really low. What's this guy? Okay, this rain and pressure. Wow, look at that. It looks like the data's a little bit corrupt there, but at 920 something. Wow, look at that. Okay, extrapolated 902, 901, 903. So everybody's texting me. So we'll see. It's dropping. Like those bottom's falling out again, right? And they'll get in there again. They'll get it probably cleaner pass here in the next hour. Another Hurricane Hunter will in the next. There's 2 or 3 of them out there near it now. So they get another clean pass. It may go sub 900. Kind of like what we had yesterday, right? When it was intense Cat 5. So all these things have bearing. So if the models reinitialize pretty close to 6 or 7, if it gets down around 900, and they say, hey, this is my lat lawn. This is where I'm at now, and this is my lat long, and I'm 900 millibars, right? And I've got winds of 180 or whatever the number is, right? I don't know what it is right now, but whatever the number is, they'll re-inject that in the model, probably the 7 p.m. models, which will come out at about midnight on the hurricane models, roughly about midnight, 12:30. And the models may say, hey, I'm not going to Sarasota, I'm going back into Tampa Bay. I'm just telling you, this is an extremely dynamic fluid situation where I've never seen a hurricane go from a high-end, astronomical high-end Cat 5 back to 4. Now it's going back to probably sub 900 again. It's actually one of the models actually says it's going to go back down to 895. I think it's a Hurricane B from this morning said it'll go back to sub 900 tonight, and it's almost there. Here we are, 5:30 Eastern. It's almost there. So it's very dynamic. It's not over for Tampa. You're still going to have extreme wind damage. And let's look at this. Let's go back to the models. I'm going to show you something else that you've got to watch for on the models. The HERS A or B or any of these models. Just go back in here, and it's just if you look at the radar and you just look at as it makes landfall, if you'll notice as it comes in, you'll see there's supercells, there's individual storms. We're going to have quite a few tornadoes tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow during the day. I think we're almost, I hate to use tornado outbreak, but I think we're going to have a lot of tornadoes tomorrow. The models are very, very, very bullish on tornadoes across the peninsula tomorrow. But tomorrow night, as this thing comes in, depending on where this north eye wall goes, if you look at just hypothetically, let's say right now it shows it going in Tampa Bay, but let's say tonight's it jogs south 20 miles. Whoever's in that north eye wall, whether it's Tampa or just south of Tampa, if you're in that north eye wall and you get winds gusting at 10 meters, 120 to 130 miles an hour, you're going to have a lot of damage, right? So you may Tampa Bay, you may survive. It may not get totally inundated with the water as bad. You may have negative storm surge, or you actually probably. I'm not going to call Tampa Bay free yet. You're not. I mean, I think you're just as high risk now because the model can shift back north 20 miles, and then you're, here we go tomorrow evening. It's like, it's coming back here again, and it could do that. Right now, I'd say I was 100% in my mind and models. I was 100% committed to say it's going into St. Petersburg because all the models agreed. About the same intensity, about the same time. So that's what I was going to say at 5 o'clock. And so I didn't expect to shift southward. So good news is your threat for massive storm surge may be going down in Tampa Bay, but you're not out of the woods yet. But I still think you're going to have catastrophic wind damage across the whole area where this big eye is and this convection, where the eye tracks are here, all the way to Melbourne, south of Orlando. You're still going to have massive wind damage all through this big corridor here, right? So you're not out of the woods yet on that. As the same makes its way across the state toward Orlando and off over by Melbourne, exits the East Coast, you're going to have some strong damage and winds over there. So that's kind of the update right now at how I see things this hour. We'll bring things up a little bit later tonight. Probably going to crash early, to be honest with you, because I'm going to crash early because I've got to get some really good rest tonight. That's very interesting. Just look at the pattern there. Look at that. Look how jig jogging there. He's trying to make sure he got right in the center, trying to get the lowest pressure. That's incredible image there. So anyway, we'll see how this unplays. Looks like, wow, there's a 902. Wow, 906, 902. Look at that. 902.4. Wow, it's pretty impressive. So if it gets back down below 900, we'll see what happens, right? So that's it. I was going to tell you all the information from the hurricane, the Tampa Weather Office, what their discussion said. And there's a lot of things I could say that it's going to be bad wherever it makes landfall, right? Basically, catastrophic damage wherever the eye comes ashore. That immediate area. Because of power outages and storm surge and catastrophic winds, you may not, they said it might be uninhabitable for months. Power outages may be out for months. So it's a very serious core, whether it's, like I said, guys, I think the catastrophic storm surge, it's set in stone. It's done. It's coming. It's on its way. It's going to be here in less than 24 hours. I mean, in fact, I think you're going to see water start rising shortly after sunrise along the coast. We're at 15-foot waves at not storm surge, but 15-foot waves. It's shortly after sunup, and then at noon we're knocking at 20 foot in the early afternoon. We're 20 foot approaching the coast. And then as we get towards 7 o'clock, maybe a little bit later now, because it's slowed down a little bit, maybe 9 or 10, we're at 30 foot waves approaching the coast. So when you get that, you're going to see a dramatic increase in battering waves. There's going to be the large, and not just the water's going to rise, 8 to 15 feet along the coastline, just the storm surge rising the water ahead of the eye. You're going to have huge battery waves on top of that, 10 to 15 foot waves, huge like a Y50, huge massive waves crashing. So you got this water rise, and then on top of the water storm surge, you're going to have these huge waves crashing. So those big waves, those big battery waves will come in like every 10 second, 15 second on the time interval. Those will just hit buildings and hit buildings and hit buildings, including concrete structures, block homes, center block homes, which are all on the coastline. It will knock them down. It will flatten them, right? So that's the kind of destruction that's coming. That is set. It's on its way. It's happening. That is pretty much locked in. The question is like, where's the worst of that going to be? Is it going to be near Sarasota, just south of Sarasota, back north of Sarasota, up here in the Bay? I don't know yet, right? I don't think we're going to know until late tomorrow afternoon. Here's the eye. It's continuing to move this direction, and this is where it looks like it's going to hit at 10 o'clock or midnight, right? Yeah, I have Starlink. It'll work well. Matter of fact, I tested it today. And I had a gigabit, and I'm on an average plan. I'm not on the super high-end plan. I had a gigabit download and 250 megabit upload on Starlink today. That was crazy speeds. So thank you, Starlink. Anyway, that's kind of the plan right now. Hi, everybody. So anyway, that's the game plan. It's going to be bad. I honestly, I can just tell you, driving around and talking to different people along the coastline today, Sarasota, people at the hotel where I'm at here, people are petrified. They're scared. They're extremely scared. I can see people's fear in people's faces, men or women, all of them. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. People are truly, absolutely petrified about this hurricane. The good news, a lot of people evacuated Maria Island, those Outer Banks, are virtually ghost towns. I'm not saying they're 100% ghost towns, but they're like 99% of the people are gone. They're ghost towns. There's nobody out there on those Outer Barrier Islands. Law enforcement has done really incredible. The governor's done incredible. I will talk about this. I'm trying to see what I can tell you, not tell you. I will tell you that on the good side, after the state makes landfall and it comes across tomorrow night, and it's going to be scary tomorrow night. You're going to hear things cracking and breaking and things like that. If you're in the eye, in the air of the eye, remember, if you're in a house, a lot of times your house may be well built, but it's how close are the trees to your house? How wet is the soil? You're really wet down here. You've had a lot of rain, right? And a bunch of rain coming tonight and tomorrow. So which way the tree's going to fall? Your house may be it may be hurricane rated, but if you get a big tall pine tree crashing through the house, that's a problem, right? So you got to watch those kind of things. Everything outside, awnings or anything in the downtowns areas of any of these cities, awnings, gas stations, poles that aren't concrete, they're wooden poles, metal sheet roofs that stand on seam, or just gas canopies. Any of those kind of items that are close to the eye wall, let's call it 30 miles either side of the eye wall, where you're going to have the max winds, like really along the coast and inland, maybe about 75 miles. You're going to have a lot of wind damage, right? But the good news, 902.176 now. Wow, thank you for the update. Yeah, see, it's back to ridiculous. So call it 176 grand. You're probably having gusts to 200. So it's really high. So the good news is, let me tell you some stuff that the state's been doing behind the scenes. This is nothing new. This is not their first radio, right? They're really, really good at this. Thank you. Most of my training has been self-taught, but I've had a lot of great people at OU, and just had a lot of great mentors over the years from different, from right here in Tampa, great tropical meteorologists right here in Florida, and a lot of great tornado researchers there at OU in Oklahoma. Been around probably the best of the best meteorologists in the United States for my entire life. Just watching, listening, learning. And every one of these hurricanes, you learn something new. And quite honestly, for all meteorologists, including the hurricanes and everything, this thing is coming out of, we haven't had a really good track like this for over 100 years, 150 years, that started way west and it's coming east here like this. We're in uncharted territory as far as like, oh yeah, this hurricane did this, and this hurricane did this. Thank you for your support there. We're kind of uncharted territory. So when you're in uncharted territories, whether you're a young new man or you've been around for 40, 50 years like me, chasing hurricanes and tornadoes, you're like, I hadn't seen this before. What's it going to do? And then we got a trough grabbing it and interacting with it and trying to weaken it and grab it and accelerate it. There's just an enormous amount of things going on with this thing. Thank goodness we got the hurricane hunters, and the Hurricane Center's done a phenomenal job with this. They've got hats off to those guys down at Miami. They're just doing a phenomenal job with the track of this and intensity. This is a really tough one. I'm not kidding you guys. It is a really tough hurricane to track and trying to figure, because once it comes in and makes that approach and it starts accelerating, it's like, oh my gosh, is it going to go to Fort Myers? Is it going to go to Venice? Is it going to go to Sarasota? Is it going to go on the north side of Tampa Bay? Because there's 5 million people in this area. Most of those probably evacuated, but a lot of them did. So everybody's trying to figure out, where is this thing going? At 24 hours for landfall, I can't tell you. I've got it down to like a 30, 40 mile area where I think somewhere St. Petersburg, it possibly could still be up that far north, back down to like Venice, somewhere in that zone. That's kind of the zone, right? So anyway, and anybody else want to ask questions, you can fire away and ask questions. We'll try to answer them the best I can. But 100-year plus storm. This is the 100-year plus storm, no doubt about it. But the good news is, I really hope it misses. I hope it misses everybody, but it's not going to. I really hope that the eye and the surge stays south of Tampa. The difference, don't have the exact number, but this gives you an example. This is an example, okay? So I might be off $5 billion on the number here, but I'm going to be close. So if you took this morning's track, and let's say that the model said, hey, it's going to go into St. Petersburg, and just the eye is going to go downtown Tampa. Like as the models were shown this morning, for every mile that either goes north of the Tampa Bay, every mile that goes north increases your damage dollar amount. It'd probably somewhere in about $5 billion per mile. So if you think about this, 5 mile difference in the Tampa Bay area, whether it tracks on the south side of Tampa Bay or the north side of Tampa Bay, can be the difference between, hey, I've got $3 or $4 billion in damage, wind damage, not really storm surge damage per se, or I've got $400 billion damage because everything's destroyed. Just 5 mile difference of where the eye tracks. That's if it's going into Tampa, because it's so heavy populated, and you've got hundreds of thousands of $1 million homes and yachts and just mass business and tourism down here. Right? It's an awesome place, this whole area, right? So now that if it gets farther south, you're still going to have a high dollar amount. Sarasota is another beautiful, gorgeous city, right? It is absolutely gorgeous. And Sarasota is beautiful. The whole coastline along the west coast here is beautiful. So maybe instead of having a $300, $500 billion price tag total for Tampa Metro plus storm surge related, right? And wind catastrophic damage, right? You take that south 30, 40 miles. So now from 500 billion, maybe I'm at 50 billion or $100 billion total loss. Sarasota down to Venice, where it gets a little bit more rural, it gets south of Sarasota. If you bring the worst in an unpopulated, less populated area than the Tampa Metro, then you dodged a gargantuan bullet. I mean, probably one of the biggest losses potentially in U.S. history as far as dollar damage, right? You may dodge that bullet, and you're not out of the woods yet. I don't think you're out of the woods until we can look at radar tomorrow night at 8 or 9 o'clock and say it's absolutely going to make landfall here, and it's not changing its course. It's locked in, and I think we're 24 hours. I think we're 24 to 28 hours away to tell you that absolute. This is where it's going. Like I said, I'm just being as honest with you as I can be, and that's what I think. Listen to the warnings. Listen to the hurricane evacuation areas. They've done the whole people have done a great job here as far as evacuating. The police, Florida Highway Patrol. I've seen those guys, about a dozen of those guys working. The debris removal has been nonstop out here on the island. All over the islands, they've been just doing a phenomenal job of debris removal, all the way from Clearwater, Largo, all the way. Even I was up seeing Jim Edge yesterday at Tarpon Springs. They have storm surge up there along the beach, Brandon Beach, Treasure Island, St. Pete Beach. All those areas still doing massive cleanup. 11,000 workers with thousands of dump trucks. Guy, it is like a military operation along the West Coast, and has been for really the last 7 days. It's like nothing I have ever seen in my entire chasing 50 plus hurricane. I've never seen what's going on in Florida in my lifetime. It's absolutely one of the best
all hands on deck is the best way to say it, that I've ever seen it anywhere in any state in the United States ever. It's unbelievable what they're doing down here. And they're trying to get all this stuff debris cleaned up and picked up along the coastline so that debris doesn't become airborne missiles and it doesn't float in the bay, and you don't have this huge cleanup of all this debris floating in all the waterways, which just creates another massive problem. And I'll say this, I've never seen so many beds out in people's front yards as I had today, but I've seen 5,000 beds today out on the curb. 5,000. Debris piled 8-10 feet high on the side of the street for 100 miles. It's everywhere. It's unbelievable. I just can't tell you the damage has already been done from 8 days ago. Helene, when it passed by, it was massive. I think we're 24 hours away, 27 hours away before I'm saying this is locked in here. This is where it's going to be. So that's refrigerators, all of it. Couches, refrigerators. It was very interesting today. So anyway, that's all I know. I know I was hoping I was going to be able to come on and say, hey, it's locked in here, and this is where it's going, and lay it here at 4 o'clock. And it goes, I'm going to try to turn to the right and come in farther south. Good news for Tampa. You're not out of the woods yet. Tampa, you're still not out of the woods. Even though the track's south of you, it's getting better. If the track stays there or moves even farther south, like tonight at 11 or tomorrow morning at 5, it drops another 10 or 15 miles, and you're like, okay, Tampa looks like you're going to absolutely be spared of the storm surge, but I can't tell you that yet. I don't think you're going to be able to tell you that until tomorrow afternoon. It's like, okay, it's definitely going to go south of you. It's going to be this intensity at this time. I don't think anybody can tell you that yet. It's just too dynamic. You see, look what's happened in the last 12 hours, right? So anyway, Smart Money says don't make the forecast yet on where it's going, because that's going to be pretty tough. So anyway, that's it, guys. That's there's nothing else we can do. Yeah, we're all sitting ducks right now, honestly. But thank you for everybody that's evacuated. Trust me, you didn't waste your money. You didn't waste your time. And look, if we all live tomorrow, the next day, if you're all here on Thursday and Friday after the hurricane, there's other days we can go back and rebuild our lives and rebuild what you lost, and live tomorrow is more important than drowning in a storm surge or debris. So if you left your house, stay away. Don't come back. Even in Tampa, stay away, because in the flood zones A, B, and C, most of them are A, B, and C, some are D, all along the coast. Stay away. Don't come back until saying this. Clear the coast on Thursday, moving off the coast Thursday afternoon, somewhere near Milburn, moving out to the Atlantic. Then at that point, then we got to worry about the debris and that. Oh, I remember what I was going to tell you. The other thing that's going to happen, I want to go into numbers because it's going to change, but there's tens of thousands of rescue people between Coast Guard, CERT teams, fire department. We got fire departments from about, 15 or 20 states already here, is what I've been told, by the thousands. There's urban search and rescue, high water vehicles, helicopters by the hundreds are standing by. So as soon as this thing comes in and goes out and it passes at sunup, shortly after sunup, and the winds get down on the west coast now only. Winds get back down to 40, 50, where the planes can get up. The Coast Guard helicopters will launch. Search and urban rescue will launch. Wherever the max damage is, right? They're going to come surging in from all directions, from the coast, from helicopters, from up north, Tallahassee to Miami, staging down south of Lakeland, even further south of Lakeland, down to Fort Lauderdale and West Palm. The military standing by, National Guard, helicopters. It's going to be an all hands on deck, and it's going to probably be one of the most. It's going to be a massive response. I mean, it's going to be massive. I don't have numbers for you, but it's probably going to be one of the largest, if not the largest, response in Florida's history from a rescue operation, right? So they're going to be there quickly, right? Not during the storm. The police, local fire, they will not go out if the winds are above 35 to 40. That's kind of will not go outside. But as soon as it pulls down, the winds are coming, and the thing's moving off the coast, they're going to come surging in. So again, remember, if you get trapped, roof comes off your house, get in the center part of your house, get in the bathroom preferably. Tomorrow evening, and they do this with all the hurricanes, as the thing makes landfall tomorrow evening, whether it's 10 o'clock or 1 in the morning, they will have they'll issue an ES alert. Your phone will go off and they'll say extreme high wind warning, and say winds of whatever they are, 100 to 150, whatever the winds are. And they'll issue a warning, they'll tell you to go to shelter right then. Again, it's probably going to be in the 10 to 1 o'clock. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., somewhere in there is going to be the time where they'll issue those warnings. They don't know where it's going to be yet in those counties, and they're going to see the eye wall moving on shore. That's when you need to get to the lowest part of your house, single story, getting to stay out of the flood zone, but get in the center, get in the bathtub, get between you and as many walls as possible. Treat this like a big tornado. You get winds of 150, you're going to have a lot of damage. Roofs are going to come off. You're going to have a lot of big things happen. So get in the center part of the house, stay away from the outer walls. And another important thing is when the eye comes on shore, probably after midnight, maybe 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, there's just extreme urgent. There's a sense of people, I want to go outside and look at the eye. Don't do that. You got snakes, you got alligators. If the storm starts worst up, you're like, oh, there's a snake that came out of the creek behind my house, and oh, guess what? He's on my driveway, and I just stepped on a water moccasin at 3 in the morning. It's dark. Do not go outside. Get in the eye. Electrical lines down. It's all that, right? Nails. I mean, I can't tell you. I was in construction 25 years, and you go outside after debris in the roof. There's got tack nails that are 2 inches long. You don't know where they're at. You step on them, the nail goes right through your foot. It's not fun. It's right fun. So it's just so many hazards, right? So don't go outside. Don't go out in the eye. Those are the kind of things, just common sense stuff. Again, if you got time, get cash. A lot of gas stations are out of gas all on the West Coast. It was very difficult here today. So I'm going to leave it at that to get gas, and it's extremely hard to find it. And then by tomorrow night at this time, the power's going to be out over a big area. So it's not happening. So anyway, that's really about it. Insurance papers, cash, gas station if you can find it. Get out of the flood zones. Get out of the flood zones, and be prepared that you may not be able to get back to your house or your facility, depending on how bad the damage is, and maybe a week or 2 before they even get you back in the most extreme damage areas. Just be prepared for that. You may have to be out of town for a week plus in the worst case areas, and then it will take months to recover, months, if not years, to be honest with you. And some coastline may be changed forever after this. But anyway, that's all I have right now, guys. I really don't think we're going to have a lot more massive changes overnight, except that it's getting stronger. But as far as I think tomorrow morning, let's see what happens over the next 12 hours with the hurricane, the intensity, what does the overnight models do, both at what we call the 0Z run and the 6Z. What's the spaghetti plots? Are they moving south? Are they going back north? Are they staying near Sarasota or just south of Sarasota? I think tomorrow we'll have a little bit better idea. And I think as we get into afternoon, we'll have a better idea because the Tampa radar will start seeing the eye. It sees the storms down there now. The Key West radar can't quite see the eye, but it's almost seeing the eye. The outer bands are getting, they're not too far from the Key West radar. I can start seeing they can't see the eye yet, but I can see the outer bands are just starting to, you can see the outer bands, the eyes back. It's ballpark, I don't have the exact position, but it's back here somewhere like that, coming out of the Yucatan, right? So start watching the radars tomorrow morning as that comes up, and that's the kind of stuff we'll start watching for. We'll just watch the radar and watch those things, and that'll tell you really where it's going, right? Just starts the radar, and there's a little trick I do. I'll draw a circle on the map, do like a 6-hour loop, and say, did it go east? Is it moving more north than it is east? And it's kind of just watch it live. The radar is absolute data. It's not a model. It's not a forecast. It's not where I think it's going to go. It's like, this is where I'm at, and this is where I'm going, right? And we're going to watch it tomorrow. Tomorrow's all about radar. It's all about radar. Satellite, Hurricane Hunter, they'll will help the data, right? How intense it is. But the radar, I'm all a radar guy. That's all I am, is radar. It's absolute data. It doesn't lie. It's not a forecast. It doesn't matter about my opinion or anybody's opinion or the latest research. It's like, here's the eye, and this is where I'm tracking. You just track it, right? It's live data. So it's like looking out the window. It's like, hey, the sun rises this morning, right? So it's pretty much that's where it goes. So anyway, we'll be watching radar tomorrow. Everybody, please stay safe. We'll start the live stream. We'll see how it goes, since it's going to come in late. Mid-morning, probably. Mid-morning, I'm guessing. Have breakfast mid-morning, and then load up. And once I leave the hotel, I'll be out in the field for about 24, 30 hours. So it's going to be a long ordeal. But anyway, we'll have live data continuously out in the field. A really good connection today with Starlink. Extremely impressive. So, yeah, I'm in Florida, in the Tampa's, just south of Tampa right now. And I'll be probably heading over the Causeway Bridge early in the morning before the winds get over 45. By noon, they'll close the Causeway Bridge. So, we'll have to make that big loop around Tampa and back down on 75. So it's kind of a shortcut over the bay there. But anyway, that's it, guys. That's all I can tell you right now. I don't think I'll have another update. Matter of fact, I won't have another update tonight. They'll have updates sometime in the morning after see the new 5 a.m. advisory. I won't wake you up early with the Twitter and the or X and the YouTube going off, but probably 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, let people get up and have their cup of coffee, and then we'll go from there. Okay? Everybody have fun. Thank you so much for joining us, Twister Chasers, and we'll be live starting tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.